welcome back to the podcast. My name is Dheandra Nicolette. I'm the host of the podcast Manifest Daily. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are a new listener, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you're an OG listener, hey girl, hey, or hey boy, hey, thank you so much for tuning back into this podcast. And yeah, I'm excited for today's episode. So first of all, y'all, I'm gonna just put the disclaimer out there. I'm a little hot. I don't know. I think it's the lights. I got new filming lights and the lights are on right now. If you are listening to the audio version of this, I recently started doing like video versions of the podcast so that you guys could see me, see my facial interactions or facial expressions, interact with me via video format. So if you like always listen via audio, feel free to tune into the video podcast. Sometimes I will link it in the show notes. It's just on YouTube, so you guys can watch it on there. But I have these new lights, and y'all, I'm a little hot, okay? I'm a little hot. So yeah, other disclaimer is that I have my notes on my phone today. So periodically I will just be looking down at my phone just to kind of like grab some of the notes that I wrote down for this episode. And yeah, so this one is a little bit more informal. I feel like all of our episodes at this point are like super informal. I feel like this is just like a super chill podcast where y'all know, I'm gonna just tell it like it is, okay? Y'all done heard me cry a couple times on this podcast. Y'all done heard me, break down, tell y'all just like very intimate details of my life. But for the sake of helping you guys along your journey, because I know a lot of y'all that listen and watch now the podcast, you guys can definitely relate to a lot of the things that I talk about here, especially because you guys are going through similar seasons in your life. And so today I wanted to get really personal and talk to you guys about money. So on this podcast, we've talked about money a couple different times, and I actually have an episode, I think it's called Broke Girl, and it's about different ways to kind of create money in your life, manifest more abundance, and just really talking about grounded ways to call in more money and more abundance in your life. Today is a little bit similar, except today I really want to talk about my current financial situation, and I guess some of the things that have been coming up for me recently and how I'm coping with those as we would say struggles, okay? And I don't want to say struggles like permanent struggles, because these are temporary struggles, and I'm gonna get into that in a second. So y'all gonna hear tea, okay? Y'all gonna hear tea, but we're talking about money today, okay, baby? We talking about money, we talking about coin, we talking about getting in your bag, okay? And in order to set the scene, I guess I'm looking at my notes real quick. In order to set the scene, I want to talk about what has led me to my current feelings in this particular season. So in this episode, I really want to dive into if any of you guys are feeling stressed about money, right? Because I feel like, I don't know about y'all, but every time, I see people talking about money on social media, I feel like it's either one of two categories. It's either people are flexing what they have, they're kind of, and this can be in a good way as well, because I think that sometimes when people are showing off what they have on social, it can be really empowering for those of us who don't yet have those things, but aspire to have those things. Because we can look at those people and be like, damn, like they got it like that means it's possible for me, right? So that's one side of the shmoney coin on social media. But I think the other side of it is that you may be seeing a lot of people talking about like, okay, baby, get in your bag. Like if you don't have X, Y, and Z, it's your fault. Like if you're not living this life, it's your fault. Like you need to do X, Y, and Z. And it's a lot of like, almost like this very aggressive pressure to boss up and become a millionaire tomorrow, right? I think I saw this post the other day on Instagram where it was just like how to make $1 million in a year. And it was breaking it down very logistically, or like in a very logical sense, right? It was sort of like, okay, $1 million equals X amount per year, obviously, equals X amount per month, equals X amount per week, per day, per hour, per minute, right? And it was just like, okay, if you want to make $1 million in a year, here's how much you got to make in a day. Here's how much you got to make per minute. And I feel like when you break it down like that, it can seem very easy to do, which I think it is in some ways, because we all know money is energy, right? And so once we kind of start to look at money as this energetic and unlimited resource, I do think it becomes easier to see ways to call in more money in our lives. But at the same time, there are, a lot of different systematic things that are set up in our current world that may block some of us to certain opportunities, at least for a temporary period of time, in order to create the money and wealth that we want. And why I say temporary period of time is because I do believe that there are ways to get around those things, right? The system is set up in a certain way, but I feel like there's a way to learn the system and to game the system. I had an episode actually when I had a Patreon where I got to see if I could pull that episode back up and maybe publish it for you guys on the main podcast, but it was all about gamifying your life, right? And I was talking about how to see life as essentially like a video game in order to kind of release the pressure that we have on ourselves, that everything is so permanent and so serious and so strict. I do think that there is a lot of there's basically so much positive that can come from you looking at life as like a game. I think you kind of have a little bit more fun with it. You kind of start to do things like chase your dreams and go after things that you want with a lot more ease and flow, because you realize it's really not that serious at the end of the day. That being said, when we go into money, right, if you're going on social and you're seeing, again, one of those two things, right, someone flexing or someone talking about get in your bag, you should have been in your bag yesterday, and you're in a place where you're not necessarily feeling so confident about where you are financially, I think it can be very, very disorienting to be on social media and constantly be bombarded with those messages. And so I find myself in a growth phase with my finances right now. And I say I'm in a growth phase, and I'm gonna get into, obviously everything that's happening for me to describe it as such. But one of the things is, hold on, let me get my phone on this side of me, because I wanna, again, pull up my notes, y'all, because I wanna make sure I'm not missing nothing in this episode, okay? So basically this year, as you guys know, based on obviously the episodes, the podcast episodes, based on if y'all follow me on Instagram and stuff like that, y'all would know there have just been a lot of different changes in my life in this year. One of the big things was moving, right? Moving from Jersey to Dallas. And if you have ever moved from one state to another, that's one thing, right? But moving from one coast of the United States to, I guess, I don't know. Well, technically this is not a coast, but moving from one section of the United States, right, the Northeast to the South, that was huge, right? And I guess maybe I just don't follow people that talk about it that often, but I didn't realize, I knew it was going to be a costly move, but I didn't realize how much it would cost until I actually had to do it, right? There are certain finances and certain things that you really don't think about with a move until you get into the nitty-gritty details of planning. And I'm definitely a nitty-gritty detail planner. And so I had planned out a lot of this stuff, and that's how I was able to make the move easier on myself. But moving from Jersey to Dallas was a costly move. One, there was the fact that I wasn't bringing a lot of stuff with me. All the major pieces of furniture that I had purchased on the first move from Boston to Jersey, I didn't bring with me to Dallas. And so coming here was essentially starting over. I basically had my clothes, I had some appliances, and that was it. That was essentially it. I had my makeup, I had my skincare, and that was it. And so I had to start over here with a couch. I had to start over with a new bed, with a new mattress, with all of these things. Not to mention now I'm in a 2-bedroom, so I'm not only furnishing one bedroom, but I'm furnishing a whole second bedroom. On top of that, there are the added expenses that, when you move, it's first month rent, security, all those different things. And on top of that, there is also the added expenses of, flying out here before I moved, and then flying out when I actually had to move, shipping my car out here, things like that, getting new registration and stuff when I got my car here, all this stuff that really added up. And so the move was a really big change in my life, but it was something that sort of, when I started 2020, I remember I did an episode for you guys all about my 2020 goals and what I aim to do. A lot of my financial 2020 goals took a back seat. I had to pause on a lot of those goals simply because of the fact that I now had to shift my focus from, saving and putting money in a Roth IRA to now I got to get money to move across the country. Now my priorities have shifted a little bit. Another thing that happened that has kind of created this growth phase in my finances is that I closed a couple of sources of income. I closed some money portals. Now, this is something I've talked about with you guys before about like, it's multiple sources of income, right? We talk about, again, money being energetic, unlimited money out here to be made, to be had, unlimited bags to be got, right? But at the same time, I think that you have to find ways to align with the sources of income that feel good to you and that feel good for whatever chapter that you're in. So as many of you know, I freelanced for basically the majority of last year when the pandemic really, took off into full swing in the United States, and I was laid off from a position that I had some clients I was working with, and I was just like, let me go full force into just fully working for myself. And so that's what I did. I was working as a freelance social media strategist, consultant, many different titles. And that's what I was doing for most of the year. And when I got the job that I currently have, I realized that honestly, there's 24 hours in the day, baby, but you have to figure out how you want to spend those 24 hours. So I was like, do I want to spend 24 hours of my day working literally 24/7, or do I want to have some time for myself, right? And then on top of that, my business wasn't just freelancing. I also have Manifest Daily that is considered like a whole separate entity. And I also have the skincare business that will be launching soon that I was also thinking about launching and thinking about starting. And so essentially with this year, once I actually moved to Dallas and I found myself like looking at all of my sources of income, looking at what was happening, how much time I had on my hands, what I was spending my time on, and how it made me feel, I decided that I actually wanted to put a pause on freelancing. And that was a really tough decision to make because at the end of the day, my freelancing income was supplemental income. It wasn't like my main source of income this year, but it was something that was super, super helpful to have because one, it's like now everything is on me. It's like just up to me to pay for stuff. And so it was helpful to have that extra source of income to feel a little bit more confident in my finances. But I also had to admit that in this chapter of my journey, very similar to how I've told you guys, I felt really called to move out of the state. I felt really called to move to the South. I felt really called to shift a lot of things in my life. I also felt really called to leave freelancing. I felt like I was being called to close a source of income, a portal of income, a portal of abundance in order to make room for new portals and new sources of income. And I feel like sometimes that can be really tough. I know some of you guys are in positions where you may be feeling really called to leave a job. Maybe you realize that a certain job is not fueling you. It's just not doing what it needs to for you. And you feel really called to leave it, but you're also really afraid to do so because you're like, okay, what's next? Like what's on the other side? And I do think it's like a tough step to take, like a tough leap to take. But personally, I made that leap knowing it was like, okay, one step backwards, right? In terms of how much money I'm making. But I also feel like it's sort of that, what is that saying about like the arrow? Like sometimes y'all got to pull back to shoot forward, right? Sometimes the step back that you're taking isn't necessarily a step backwards. It's just a reroute. It's a step towards something else. And that's kind of one of the things that actually changed my finances. And the last thing that has sort of put me in this growth phase when it comes to my finances is my upcoming move. This is something I talked about in the last episode. This is also something I talked about because I did like a house tour that you guys should have seen last Friday. But I am in this gorgeous 2-bedroom apartment, super modern, super nice. It's giving like modern farmhouse vibes. I love the look and feel of this apartment. But a lot of things have changed in terms of the environment of the apartment, like the people that are here, things like that. Because when I first came here, I was pretty much one of the first residents to move in. So it was basically like me and no one else living here. And obviously now it's like super full. And it's just my soul is calling for something else. I didn't want to have to leave. I remember trying to tell myself like, okay, I can, put up with the noise. I can put up with X, Y, and Z. Like, it's not that serious. I don't want to have to break a lease. And I just kept getting really pushed towards making that decision. Now, for those of y'all who have ever in your life had to break a lease, y'all know it's not cheap. If you've never had to break a lease, baby, you don't want to ever have to break a lease. It is not cheap. It is literally not cheap. And again, this is why this decision was not made lightly. I can sometimes be very impulsive, but I really sat with this. I talked to my mom, I talked to so many friends, I talked to God, I talked to myself. I really had to sit with it and be like, does this decision make sense for me? Because financially, the decision doesn't make sense. Financially, it is a huge step backwards, and financially, it's something that just I was feeling a lot of fear and apprehension around having to take that step because of what it would have to mean financially. But I also knew it was the right decision for me. And I knew it was the right decision for me to take in order to kind of, again, not step backwards, but take a step in another direction in my life. So when we're talking about finances, right, and we're talking about being stressed about finances, you guys may be in a similar situation as me. Like maybe you've had a bunch of different changes in your life. Maybe you've had to leave or move. I know a couple of you guys have messaged me on Instagram to say that you've also gone through a breakup recently. You've also gone through a really big move recently. And all of those things affect our finances. I think the couple part is one that, you know, if you're in a relationship, you may not think of it as like a certain privilege, but it kind of is in a way. If you're in a couple and you guys live together and you get to split expenses, that is one thing that, like, going from splitting expenses with someone to going to having to do it by myself, that was something where I was able to really acknowledge the full amount of privilege that I had when I was able to save more or do more with my money, or make less but make it stretch more because I was splitting finances with someone. So like I said, I know a lot of you guys are going through some of these things that I've mentioned similar to myself, but some of you guys may be going through completely different things that I have not gone through on my list. But there is this growth phase that you're going through with your finances. And what that can look like is feeling some fear, is feeling some apprehension, is feeling some stress around money. And while I can sit here and tell you guys like, okay, you know, money is energy and there is unlimited amounts of money. Sometimes when you're going through that period of like being stressed about money, y'all don't want to hear that. You want to hear like grounded methods, grounded ways to switch up and change your mindset in order to really help you through that season. That's what I'm here to bring you guys, because really me going through this season right now, I want to be completely transparent and honest, because it's like, while yes, I am able to support myself, and I am so grateful for that, because that is something that, you know, I've told y'all multiple times. When I lived with my parents at one point in time, I didn't see how it could happen. I know it may sound silly to some of you guys, but I didn't see how it could happen. And now that I'm in this place where I'm able to do that, I feel absolutely blessed. However, I also do have moments where I do get stressed about my finances, and I think that is completely okay. Same thing as, you know, when you're trying to manifest anything in your life, I don't believe that you have to be completely happy all the time or completely like in this high vibration all the time to call in what you want. I simply do not think that needs to be the case. And same thing with money. Just because you may be going through a period where you feel stressed about money doesn't necessarily mean that you are any less worthy of calling in more abundance. So I want to walk you guys through a couple of the things that I've been doing personally to help me through this season, and that I will be doing to help me through this season, and hopefully can help you guys through your season as well if you're going through any sort of like struggles or stress or pressure and growth moments with your finances. So one of the first things is that I updated my budget sheet. So if you guys know this, I think I've told you guys this multiple times. I love to do my budget sheet in Google Sheets. I have a sheet that I update every single month. So with my 9 to 5, I get paid monthly, which is kind of annoying because it's like, baby, you feasting real nice at the beginning of the month, but by week 2 or 3, girl, I'm like, oh my God, I ain't got no money. Only because the way I do my finances is I don't like to wait to pay my bills. I'm someone that as soon as my like money hits my account on the first day of the month, I pay all of my bills. I get everything out of the way. That way I know any money that's like left over is for me. I also in my budget sheet allocate like I can't talk right now. I allocate funds to every and anything. So what that means is like on my sheet, I have it set up so like, okay, there's a row for like rent, a row for my car payment, a row for my car insurance, a row for groceries. But then there's also a row for things like my nails and my toes, which I get them done every single month. And I know exactly how much that's going to cost me with the tip included. So I put that in there. I also put down like fun money, because I personally feel like if I don't put down anything for like extra expenditure, I will just end up spending it anyways and putting it on my credit card. And like now I'm like, basically, I just want to give myself money to spend each month because I know I like to shop and I know that like that's just a part of what makes me feel good. So I'm going to put money in there for that if I can, right? So what I had to do was I had to go through and update my budget sheet because like I told you guys, a big part of this financial growth period that I'm going through was the fact that I had to break my lease and it, you know, is not going to be cheap to do so. And I'm also having to completely move into a new apartment. So there are also fees associated with moving into a new apartment. And now there are also fees associated with getting movers and things like that. Granted, it's a little bit cheaper, actually a lot of it cheaper to move from Dallas to Dallas, like within the city versus moving from New Jersey to Dallas. I don't have to ship my car. I can literally like drive half of my things across town and I'm just hiring the movers for like the big things and I can take the other things in my car. So it's a lot cheaper. But still, knowing that I had to allocate some funds to the whole breaking of the lease, that was stressing me out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is, when they told me, I was like, this is kind of a lot of money. Like, how am I going to find all this money? And I was just like, wait a second. I literally have this money allocated in my budget sheet somewhere. So I just had to go in and move things around, right? And I feel like if you're in a specific like place or time of your life where you're a little bit stressed about money, the biggest tip is to kind of make yourself very visible to the situation, right? So make a budget sheet. Even if your budget sheet looks, mine is like super elementary, like it's like so basic, but make a sheet, like put down how much money you're getting, where the money is coming from, when you can expect it, what needs to be paid, and figure out what's going on. It's almost like a game of Tetris where you can move things around. So for me, I was just like, okay, I can take some money out of like, for example, for the next few months, I was going to be saving a lot of money, but I'm like, okay, obviously things have changed when I planned that out. I didn't know I was going to have to be moving. So instead of saving all of this money throughout the last half of the year, I'm literally going to have to allocate all of that money to moving. While it's not ideal and while I would much rather be saving, I know that it's a temporary situation and that once January 2021 hits or 2022 hits, and even actually like before that, I'll have already paid for those moving expenses and I can now get back into saving. So just really being aware of the situation, seeing where all the money is going, seeing where the money is coming from was super helpful for me because it allowed me to see I actually do have this money. It's going in different places. I can just reallocate it. And I think that's going to be a huge thing, especially if like you hear a number or you think about the things that you have to tackle financially in the upcoming months and it seems super, super overwhelming. It's like, okay, go into a budget sheet. If you don't have a budget sheet, make a budget sheet and like basically allow yourself to look at it from a high level point of view and plan a couple months out ahead. So I have essentially planned out my budget up until December of this year. Granted, I know things change because obviously here we are and things have changed. So I allow my budget sheet to be pretty flexible, but I do know that in the next couple months, I will be able to pay a bunch of things off that I want to, prep for this move, pay for this move, and also get back to saving by the end of the year. So that was super helpful to kind of like see on a sheet and like plan that out. The other thing that I had to do was change my perception around breaking my lease. So this is more of a mindset shift, but this was super helpful to me. And I've been saying this aloud to my friends and to my mom. But when I first was thinking about this whole breaking the lease thing, it was just really, really upsetting to me because as you guys have heard me say a million times, I love the look and feel of where I live, the location. It's so perfect. I'm like right by downtown. If I have to go anywhere, and y'all know I don't be going nowhere, but if I have to go anywhere, everything is like 5 minutes away from me. It's so perfect. The location of this place, the look and feel of this place, everything. But when I got to the point where I was just like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to break this lease, I was feeling kind of shitty. I won't even lie. I was feeling kind of like, damn, this is going to be a bunch of money just wasted because now I have to pay this money to leave. And it's like, I felt kind of like, damn, did I make a mistake choosing this place? Like, was this on me? Like, there was no way that I could have known that it would happen this way. So there was literally no reason to feel at fault for anything. So I had to like, first of all, take that thought off the plate. But one of the things that I did was I actually changed my perception of this from being, okay, I have to pay to break my lease. Like I have to pay to leave. Like this is annoying, to, okay, I'm actually making an investment in my peace. A huge piece of me breaking the lease was my peace of mind, my peace of living, quietness, like all of these things that I really, really value in a home. And when I allow myself to see, okay, this is not me wasting money or putting money into an empty hole. This is me making an investment into my peace. And then I start to think about, okay, when I invest into my peace and when I am at peace, when my soul is at peace, what happens? I thrive, I grow, I create, I have ideas that I love to manifest and bring to life. And so whenever I have made an investment into my peace, I have always noticed that my content, that my creation goes to the next level. When I moved from my parents' house to New Jersey, I was able to birth a new brand. I was able to birth a new piece of chapter for Manifest Daily at the time. When I moved from Jersey to Dallas and when I made an investment into my peace in that way, I was able to make so many different changes in my life and in my reality that I have absolutely loved it, and I have been thriving since then. And now, even though I didn't plan for myself to be making this shift so early, I'm now moving into a new space. And although I can look at it as, of course, like, oh my gosh, there's so much money to break the lease, I'm looking at it instead as I am making this investment into my peace of mind, into my soul, into my craft, into my creativity. And making that shift in my head mentally has been so, so helpful, because now I can start to feel so much less guilty around the money and around the process and around the fact that this is happening, and feel less apt to blame myself, because there was absolutely nothing I could have done to put myself in this position. This just happened, and this is just the way it's happening. And all I can do is roll with this and absolutely accept the fact that when I do go into that new space, I'm going to be so ready to create so much dope content in there. And so I am making an investment into that reality. So I think making a shift, what is that? Sorry guys. I think making a shift mentally is going to be super, super, super important for you guys if you are basically looking at this stage of growth for your finances. So the next thing that I did was I asked myself what sources of income align with me. So like I told you guys, one of the other changes that happened was that I actually closed a couple portals for income. So I talked about the freelancing one, but I also had my Patreon at the time and my membership when I moved here. And I actually ended up closing both my membership and my Patreon. It's not that I didn't enjoy making that content. I just found that I was no longer aligned with it. And I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I aligned with when it comes to making like an income source from Manifest Daily? Because at the end of the day, I feel like there are things that I do for fun that don't need to make money, but then there are also things that I do and I put a lot of time into and create that I feel like I can see this being a portal for abundance. And this is one of them, right? And I don't really know what that looks like right now. Well, I kind of have an idea now, but when I first thought about closing the membership and closing the Patreon, I was just feeling kind of like, damn, like I don't know what will come next, right? I don't know what will come next, but I trusted. And so once I closed the freelancing portal, once I closed the portal for Manifest Daily, and essentially the only portal I have now is my main source of income, my 9-to-5 job, I was feeling a little bit stressed around that because I'd gotten so used to having money coming in, even if it were just a little bit of money coming in for other sources, that it made me feel a little bit better to have them scattered. And now there's just one I was like, okay, I need to like figure out some other portals. But I will say that in this season, I've been allowing myself to really just do what feels good to me and allow those new portals of income to emerge from that, if that makes sense, for me to see that. And one of the things that I have always said is that I love creating, and you guys can see that, you guys know that. So a big part of that is consistency. And I think that right now we're in this day and age where with creators, there are people that go on to whatever platform and do end up blowing up overnight and creating this audience overnight and being given brand deals and stuff overnight. But there are so many of us that are creating day in and day out for years, and we don't see a dime until it's our time, right? And then when it's our time, we are absolutely blessed in so many different ways. And I am such a believer that there is a reason that I have never once lost faith or lost the vision or lost the the love for creating podcasts and creating video. I've never once lost that love, even though this hasn't really made me money. And I do it because I love it. I do it because I love sharing. I love talking, first of all. Y'all know I love talking. I love talking to y'all. I love talking. I love sharing. I love documenting. And I feel like I also have this vision of what this could become, and that was put in my heart for a reason, right? And when you have a vision that's put in your heart for a reason, especially if it's something where you can see it being a portal to income and abundance and money, I don't think that you should lose sight of that vision, even if it's not happening quickly enough for you. I believe that you should keep going at it, especially if you love doing that thing, because there was a reason that vision was put into your heart. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And so with that, I actually the other day made a list of different streams of income that I want to cultivate and manifest and plant the seeds for this year in order to really begin to see those seeds sprout in the next year. And I'll give you guys some insight into that. So one is obviously still keeping my 9 to 5. I actually really like my 9 to 5, and really working hard at that to just grow that. So if you guys don't know, I lead the team. I lead the social team for a travel media company. And so that's been super, super helpful and instrumental in helping me grow my leadership skills, because I'm managing a team of, I think it's 6 people now. And y'all, it'd be hectic, but it's absolutely worth it. And I really like it. So I want to continue to do well at that, cultivate that. But then there's also the content creation piece, right? I want to continue to create content. I want to continue to elevate my content. I absolutely believe that even though I'm not getting paid to do this right now, I still have an obligation to show up, and I still have an obligation to create amazing content, because I know that there will be a day when I'm paid for this. And the more that I put the more that I put energy, effort, consistency, creativity into that right now, the better I'll be at it as time goes along. And I think the more I'll be able to call in for my skills and for my content when it is my time, and when it is my time to reap that benefit. For now, I'm reaping the benefits in other ways, simply because I'm just having these amazing conversations with you guys, getting to chat and connect with so many other creators, things like that. And those are beautiful benefits in and of itself. Another one that I want to continue to call in is investing. So I've actually also had to put a pause on my investing again with this whole move situation. But that is one where I haven't invested a lot of money, but I have seen the potential for it. For example, I'll tell you guys right now. So I made an investment. I think I have it's almost $200 invested in this one stock. And it's one that actually provides dividends, which means that you get money back. I'm not going to explain this properly, but y'all get money back for investing in the stock. And I believe the dividends for this particular stock are paid out quarterly. So once a quarter, you get paid dividends. And so I got my dividends the other day, and I think it was something like $2 or something like that, which y'all might be like, $2? Girl, what you going to do with $2? First of all, everybody starts somewhere, right? So I want y'all to understand, in the same way that I keep always telling y'all, when I first started this podcast, I was getting 30 downloads. And I remember the first month I got 30 downloads, I was wilding, because I was just yo, who out here listening? Oh, girl, who is listening to the potty? Okay. And now it's literally thousands of downloads per month. So it's and again, even that growth, it's I can't wait for the day when it's hundreds of thousands of downloads per month, millions of downloads per month. You know what I'm saying? It's growth. As long as there is some sort of trajectory of growth, don't worry about how fast you're growing, baby. You growing, okay? And so with the dividends, it was just okay, $2, but that's $2 per quarter. Watch when it's 200. Watch when it's $2,000. Watch when it's 20. Watch when it's $200,000 per quarter that I'm getting paid just for investing, right? And what that means is growth, right? That means it's growth. That means me investing more. That means me doing more research and figuring this out, because that's me doing this with very little knowledge, and there's so much potential for growth. And so even with that one, I'm that's a stream of income that's aligned with me, because I'm investing in businesses that I believe in order for me to get paid to just invest my money in them. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. All I gotta do is give y'all some money and then get some money back. Yes, ma'am, I can do that. So I feel what I'm saying with this one is just like find streams of income that are aligned with you. If you are a content creator and you love making YouTube videos, y'all know fully well by this point that YouTube can be a stream of income. You just have to work at it. It might take you 5 years. It might take you 50 days and your video blows up. You really don't know how long it's going to take you, but if it's in your heart, if that vision is in your heart, go after it. It shouldn't matter how long it's going to take you, because if you really love making videos and you really love content creation, then at the end of the day, you're going to do it no matter what. So why not do it consistently and know that at the end of the day, you're going to end up getting paid eventually. You know what I mean? Just like, because you're already loving what you do. It's not like you're being forced to do it. So find streams of income, or find potential streams of income that feel aligned with you. For some of you guys, it may be Etsy. Like, there's so many ways you can make money on Etsy. For some of y'all, it can be like writing an ebook, or maybe you're writing multiple ebooks. For some of y'all, maybe you really want to start a cleaning business. Maybe you really want to start, like, I honestly do not know. But when I tell you there's money to be made out here, when I tell y'all there's money to be made out here, there's money to be made out here. So if you can find something that you love to do and that you feel good about monetizing, do that. And don't worry about like how long it takes you to grow. That's why I keep saying, like, find something that you love to do for the monetization, because some of the things will, and a lot of the things will take you a little bit. It's not going to be an overnight success, but you have to be ready to like continue to do it even when you're not seeing the monetary success right away, because it's like the more you water that seed, baby, it might not look like it's growing, but like year 3, that tree might just pop up, baby. That tree gonna pop up. All of a sudden, you're gonna have a whole oak tree on your hand, and it looked like it wasn't even growing for the first 2 years. Now look at that. Okay, look at that. So I think I have like 2 more tips or 1 more tip. Okay, so the last 2, I'll just like put them together. So 1 is recognizing that this is a temporary situation. So like I said, when I did my budget sheet and when I was able to say like, okay, I have all of these things to pay for, okay? And right now my income source is only 1 stream. And so I really got to make everything kind of work for all of the things. At first it felt a little stressful, but when I plotted everything out and I was able to see that, okay, by the end of this year, I should have paid this thing off. I should have done this thing. I should have done this thing, and I'll be back on track with this thing. It made me realize that it really is a temporary situation. On top of that, you just never know how you're going to be blessed, right? You never know what money can come in, who can say, hey, I want to help you, or who can do whatever for you, and you can be blessed in a certain way. Like, you don't know what is coming around the corner. But I think if you can realize that in this situation, this growth period for your finances, if you are struggling, it is a temporary situation. So what you can do is you can start to plan for what happens after the temporary situation, okay? So look forward to the saving that you're going to do, to the investing that you're going to do. Start to really think ahead. And obviously, like I said, use your budget sheet, use what you can do right now to plan for this current season, but also know that it's temporary. Know that it's temporary. And that really helped me realizing, like, this is not forever. It's not like I'm going to be paying for a broken lease for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to be paying for it for like 2 months, and then that's it. Okay? That's it. So, the other thing is that like, if y'all know like angel numbers and you like follow angel numbers, so I love seeing angel numbers. I had one point, not even one point, it was like literally like up until yesterday, I probably still saw it today too. I was seeing 606, and I had looked up what 606 was, and 606 was like, you need to stop focusing on like material, like fears, essentially like financial fears, because you know that you're always going to be provided for. And when I saw that, I was like, you know what? Why am I so worried? Like, literally in all of the things that I've done, even when I wasn't able to see how it would happen, or I wasn't able to see how I would get through, or I wasn't able to see like how I would be blessed in a certain situation, I was blessed. I got through. I was able to pull through and survive and to thrive. And in this particular situation, it's not that I don't know how I'm going to do it. I know exactly how I'm going to do it. And so, 1, I know the action that I can take, but I don't know the action that God can take, that the universe can take to help me in this situation. So I feel like you realizing that at the end of the day, your worrying is not really going to do much, but like just stress you out. Like, what you can do is figure out what actions you're going to take. What you can do is figure out and realize the situation is temporary, and then also see what you can do in any given situation. It definitely is a little bit harder if, like, in my situation, it is just kind of on me, right? So I think that was another part that was stressing me out. It's like, I can't, like, not really, I can't really go to my parents and be like, I need this money to do whatever. Or, like I said, there isn't a partner in this. So it's not like rent is being split with someone, or the expenses of breaking the lease is being split with someone. It's literally falling all on me. I think that is it's kind of, at first it was a stressful position to be in, because I realized how much responsibility I had towards a lot of things now by myself. But I also believe that it's a really great place to be in, because once you start to realize the power that you have as an individual, I think it really helps you to kind of be like, damn, like, I got that, like, I got me like this, like, I could do this like that. Okay, bet. You know what I mean? So yeah, you guys, I think that financial struggles, hurdles, whatever you want to call them, they happen in this life. No matter how rich you are, how much money you have, I'm sure there are hurdles that you can go through. There are going to be tough days. There are going to be things that stress you out a little bit. But like I said, every situation is temporary. And once you start to realize that you have the power to plan, to ask for help, whether it be from a family member, from friends, from God, just from yourself, like basically looking around at your resources and who you can lean on for support. And when I say help, it doesn't mean someone has to give you money, but maybe it just means like you chat with a friend. One of my friends told little girl, hey, if you watching this, and also Tanya, and also Teray, girls, hey girls, okay. We'll often like get on the phone and just talk about like, okay, let's brainstorm streams of income. Let's brainstorm, like, and sometimes it's just helpful to like bounce ideas off someone, especially if you have an idea for like an income stream or a business or something, especially if you need to tap your circle for help with something, like whatever the case is, knowing that you have like those resources to be able to do that. But yeah, you guys, it's temporary. So it will be okay. We're all going through this. Even the people that are on Instagram flexing, they have their days too. Okay. And if they aren't going through those days now, the days always come. It's a cyclical. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. I'm trying to say it's a cyclical nature. That is such a hard word to say. Okay, that is like a really hard word to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Of course, I intended for this one to be short. I was like, let me record a quick like 10-minute episode. And then here we are. I'm literally looking at my recording 42 minutes later, LOL. But I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Let me know if you enjoyed. And then, yeah, you guys, just send me like blessed vibes for the move. I will need it. Okay. Actually, no, I'm super excited to go. Like, y'all don't even know. Like, I am just really excited. And the place that I'm going to, it's so funny. I think I already told you guys the story in the last episode, but it's just so funny how like I'm ending up back at that same place when it was like my first choice before. And I also think it's kind of cool that it's like more of a homey place. So it isn't very much like, it's like less of like a huge apartment modern vibe and more of like a really homey vibe. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think I need a bit of that. Like I need a little bit of like feeling at home somewhere, because I really do feel at home in Dallas since I've moved. I have not regretted this move, and I'm so thankful for that, because I remember being a little like afraid when I thought about moving here that I would make such a big decision to move all the way over here and then be like, damn, I don't like it. And then be like, I don't want to go back to Boston. And I spent so much money to move here. And like, I don't know where to go next. But I actually really like it here. So I'm really, really thankful that I have been able to kind of like start to find my groove in this new city. So yeah. So anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are watching this on YouTube, even if you're listening to the audio version only. I would absolutely love it if you could support me and subscribe and watch over on YouTube. As you guys heard, I'm definitely trying to make content creation into a stream of income because I absolutely love it. And I do feel like, it's a job these days. So I will, if it could be a job, baby, why can't I make it one of my jobs? Okay. So obviously in order to help me, or in order for that to happen, it's not just a me thing. Like I could put the intention out there all the time, but it's also a you guys thing too, in terms of the support. And I absolutely Absolutely. I'm super thankful when you guys watch or listen to the podcast because it obviously helps with that goal. But I'm trying to get to a goal of 1,000 subscribers before the end of Q3, and Q3 ends end of September, right? Because July, August, September. Yeah, so Q3 ends the end of September. So I would absolutely love it to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of Q3. So if you guys can go subscribe over to YouTube, that would be super, super helpful. And I would very, very, very much appreciate it. Well, anyways, you guys, I will chat with you guys in the very next episode. Leave comments down below for any episodes that you guys want to hear from me, any things you want me to chat about, like all that good stuff. And I will get into it in another episode. But yeah, my loves. Bye.